Hello everyone, good morning. This is Lisa. So if you want to get in touch with me after today's warm-up, if you have any questions about anything, please go ahead and like my page, Lisa Liz Trombone, and you can get a hold of me over there. That way I can answer any of your questions. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so for our warm-up today, it's the morning. So we're going to be playing our first notes of the day. And in my opinion, most musicians, we aren't really morning people. So, we just got to really make sure we take toll of how our body is feeling in the morning. Playing the trombone takes so much of our body. Everything needs to be kind of working, and our breathing and how we're feeling that day. So really take this time when you're warming up to kind of take toll of how your body feels. Are you tired? Are you hungry? Does your back hurt? All those things we got to think about as we're warming up. So the first thing I like to do when I warm up is just play long tones, as many of you do. I did a post last week actually asking if people preferred to start on F or B flat, and most people said F, but I actually prefer to play a low B flat for my first note of the day. So, I'm sitting in my chair. I really like to take that time to just kind of see if there's any tension in my body, in my neck, in my shoulders, how are my arms feeling. Just really take stock of everything in your body. Okay, so I'm going to play a low B flat this morning. That's a little different from what you normally do. And again, I just really get comfortable, take a nice big breath, and just hold out that low B flat. So we'll all do it together. And I usually play a few of them. I'm looking for a few things. I'm listening to my attack. I'm listening, my pitch. Am I able to center the note? While I'm playing this note, I'm also thinking about, do I have any tension in my shoulders? How is my posture? These first notes are really going to set you up to what you're going to play for the rest of the day. So while you're playing these long tones, the focus should be on the body. What's happening in my body? How does this feel? Okay, so now let's do that low B flat, and we are going to do the long tone exercise. So it's pretty simple. It's just you go B flat down to A, take a breath, B flat down to A flat, so we're just adding one position at a time. And for today, let's do the syllable ta, da. So that first B flat will be with a ta syllable, and then the next note will be with a da. So etc. Okay, so let's try that. We'll go all the way down to the low E. And I'm not using a metronome for this. I really just like to, again, focus on my sound, how everything's feeling. So just do your best to follow along with me. So that's a perfect example. I wasn't really happy with that attack there on that F. So if at any time throughout this warm-up exercise, today we're doing it together, but when you're doing it on your own, if you're not happy with the way something sounded, go ahead and do it again until you get it right. Take this time to really, play everything the way you want it to sound. So let's try B flat to F again. Now B flat down to E. so as you can see, I am also playing on a, small bore trombone, no F attachment. So if you are on an F attachment trombone, you can also get down into the F attachment with these long tone exercises as well. If you're not happy with how some of your lower notes are speaking, a good way to practice this too is doing the same exercise without the tongue. And I feel like taking the tongue out of the equation can really help us get down into those lower notes. So just for an example. So you can also experiment with that. So then I like to do this same exercise starting on a middle F. Let's do it on middle F now with the ta, da syllable. Again, going out to those farther positions, sometimes if you remove the tongue from the equation, it can help you get your slide all the way out there with a good sound. Just something to play around with. So as you noticed, you might have noticed during that, I was like closing my eyes a few times. To me, these long tone exercises, it's kind of like a Zen experience in the morning. Just like I said, I'm closing my eyes. I'm really like getting inside my sound, thinking about my sound, thinking how I want to sound for the rest of the day. Okay, so, I usually do that exercise on the B flat above that as well, but just to move along a little bit, we're not going to do that one today. But I'm going to do another kind of long tone / flexibility exercise a little bit. So we're going to start on middle B flat, and we're just going to go B flat, F, B flat, and we're just going to hold down that low B flat and really focus on the sound. And I've heard this exercise described to me before as we don't want to like push the air. So, right, we don't want to feel like we're pushing as we're going down. This should just be like a really relaxed breath in, and the air should just fall out, if that makes sense. So like fill up all the way and then just like let the air come out. Just exhale. And it should be this really natural, lip slur down to that low note. And then really weigh into that low note, because this is going to set us up to get started playing down into the lower register. Now we'll take that down all the positions. So let's start on A in second. Gotta do that one again. Okay. Like I said, your warm-up's for you. If you need to play something again, do it again. You know, it's for you to be able to get set up to play well for the rest of the day. Okay, so moving on. When I warm up, I don't necessarily do the same exact routine every day, but I hit 5 different areas every day. So what we just hit was area number 1, which is long tones. So every day I do long tones in some form. Those are just a few of the exercises that I do. So the next thing that I like to work on after I do my long tones, get my sound centered for the day, is I like to work into low register playing. And I do this in many different ways. Like I said, I change it up every day so I don't get bored. But for today, let's go ahead and do major arpeggios going down. So the idea with this is we're going to play our major arpeggios down by half steps to as low as you can go. And, you know, depending on what kind of trombone you have, that's going to limit where you can go. Like I said, I'm playing on a small bore. If you have an F attachment, you can start to utilize that. If you're playing on a bass trombone, you know, get into your double trigger stuff, you know, however you want to do it. So we're basically just going to do a major arpeggio. So kind of the same idea of what we just did. We're just adding in the third, and then we're going to just take that down by half steps. Again, the idea is to really focus on that lower note. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get a drink of water. I don't know about you guys, but I always end up drinking a lot of water when I play, so I always just make sure I have it. Just keeps in my mouth, you know, good to go. All right, so let's do those major arpeggios going down. All right, starting on B flat. So for those of you who are playing on a small bore horn, you might think that's the end of the line. But, excuse me, something that I also like to do is get into false tones, which means it's like you're playing those same notes that you would play on a horn with the trigger on your straight horn. So, for instance, if we were going to do the E flat arpeggio going down, you know, trying to play that low E flat as a false tone. So it's not really like a real note, but you're just trying to make it speak like it was. So with the false tones, I've found the positions aren't necessarily the same as when you're using a horn with the trigger. They're kind of like halfway in between. So, you know, if my E flat's here and my trigger E flat would be there, you know, the false tone E flat feels like it's a little farther out, you know, like exactly in between third and fourth position. So let's just give a couple of those a try. If this is new for you, just try it. And also if you're playing with an F attachment horn, try it too. Like try to do it without the F attachment and we'll just see how it feels. All right, so let's do that E flat arpeggio going down again. Let's try for D. C. B. So for that one, it's like just really follow your ear. You know what I mean? Like even though these notes don't technically exist on the trombone, we can get them out. After that, I go down into the pedal register. I mean, this game is really just as low as you can go. Obviously, bass trombonist, you're gonna win at this game here. But let's just try at least one pedal so we kind of know what we're dealing with. Okay, so let's do B flat. So keep in mind that D is gonna be one of those false tones. Okay, B flat arpeggio. So as you can see, doing the false tones into the pedals, you know, it definitely requires a little bit of work, a little bit of getting used to. From there, I would keep extending down into the pedal range. Usually I try to go down to a pedal F every day. Just kind of depends. But in order to move on, we will move on from now. Okay, so we did long tones. We did some extensions down into the low register. Like I said, I like to change it up every day. So we did major arpeggios going down. Maybe one day I'll do minor arpeggios. Maybe one day I'll do a major scale. Maybe one day I'll do a minor scale. Maybe one day I'll do scales in thirds. You know, a melody going down. Really, you can change it up in any way you want. But the idea is to, you know, take a sound or a pattern and just move it down by half step, gradually, 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 as low as you can go. Every day in my warm-up, I like to play the lowest note I can possibly play up to the highest note I can possibly play. You know, it just got to warm up the entire register of the instrument. All right, so after my low register playing, I like to work on my tonguing. Again, same thing. There's a million different ways I do this, and I like to change it up every day so I don't get bored. But I'm just pulling up my metronome here. We will use the met for this. So the first thing we're going to do is just a pattern. We'll start with a nice, comfortable tempo. This is 80 beats per minute. So here's the pattern. We'll do it on F major. So did you hear that? So there's a 8/8 notes, and then it, you know, goes up the scale, 8/8 notes at the top, and then back down. So with these tonguing exercises, the important thing is that you do a tempo that is comfortable for you. You know, this is for you to get better. If that's too fast for you, don't start there. Start slower, you know, and then obviously you want to increase the tempo gradually every day. When I was really into practicing all these in college, like I would even keep like a log every day of like what tempos I did. That way I could like really keep track of, you know, what tempo my single tonguing was at, my double tonguing. That way it was like it was easy for me to keep track of it. So let's go a little quicker now. So let's do the same scale. This is 90 beats a minute. So same exercise, 10 clicks faster. Okay, that's the idea. And you would obviously like it that faster, 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 faster. Let's go up to 100 clicks and let's do something different. Let's do D major. So here's 100 beats a minute, same exercise. Okay, you get the idea. So you can really play that exercise. I mean, you can use any scale, you know, major, minor, any of the modes, like really anything you want. And then also you can move it throughout the register as well. The scales I played today, you know, scales like F, D, E, E flat, that register is pretty comfortable. Obviously, if you get down into the lower register, you know, I find the single tonguing to be harder, but it's also good practice to do that as well. All right, so that's the kind of stuff I like to do for single tonguing. Just another couple quick exercises you can do for your single tonguing. With that scale, you can just play it quick, you know. Stuff like that, just up and down the scales. If you go even quicker, so you can do stuff like, let's see. Okay, where you're only doing 4 notes. Let's do that on E flat major. And this is 120 beats a minute, so we're getting faster. So as you get faster and you bump up the tempo, you know, you can also do shorter phrases. Usually you can play shorter phrases faster, if that makes sense. So yeah, do some stuff like that. Warm up your single tongue. The next thing I like to do is double tonguing. So let's do, here's 140 beats per minute. And we'll just do. Okay, on E major. Okay, so you get the idea. And then also you would bump that up, you know, 10 clicks faster. Or if 10 clicks is too fast, you know, do 5 clicks at a time. The idea is every day to be kind of pushing these tempos, right? Every day we should be striving to, in our warm-ups, we should be striving to play, you know, 1/2 step lower, 1/2 step higher, you know, 1 click faster on the single tongue, 1 click faster on the double tongue. It's the idea when we're working on these exercises every day to always kind of push the bar on what we can do. Because the lower we can play, the higher we can play, the faster we can play, it's just going to open up, you know, opportunities for you when you're making music. You know, you don't want any of these things to hinder your ability to play your music. So, you know, just got to constantly be working on it every day. I see so much out there of how can I play high notes or how can I play fast? I mean, this is the way you do it. You just have to work on it every single day. Like, it's a really tedious and slow process, but it's the way that you do it. All right, so after that, I usually go into, I also work on, you know, some triple tonguing or doodle tonguing, you know, so there's many other kinds of tonguing stuff you can work on. As far as like these scales that I'm using for these tonguing exercises, I really don't worry about like playing every single scale I know in one day. To be honest, when I choose my scales or I choose the exercises that I do in my warm-ups, it's usually based on like tunes that I'm working on at the time. So like for instance, this past week I was recording a tune in G major. And so the whole week I was just doing all this G major scales and, you know, working with a drone and, you know, just really getting into that key. So if you're wondering which scales to do, you know, what chords to do the ones with the songs that you're working on. It's really going to show up in your playing when you start working on those songs. All right, so after your tongue is nice and warmed up, you've been doing some articulation stuff, the next thing I like to work on is flexibility. And again, like I've said with everything else, I have many different exercises for this. I like to change it up so I don't get bored. But the first flexibility one we'll do, you guys probably know this one. It's one of the Remington exercises. It's pretty famous. Let me just play it for you. Do you all know that one? So let's play that one down all 7 positions. Let's pick a nice, comfortable tempo here. All right, this is 90 beats per minute. Let's give this a try. So 1, 2. exercise. Obviously, the point is to get that faster and faster as we work on our flexibility. Another flexibility exercise that I really love, it's from the Brass Gym, which was written by Sam Plathian and Pat Sheridan. When I went to college, we did this every morning, like the entire brass and breathing gym. It was a 1 hour long program that we used to do every day, pretty involved. But I use a lot of these exercises still in my warm-up from that program. So this one is called lip flips, and you can do this on any interval. So I'm going to teach the exercise to you really quick. So let's just do B flat on top of the staff to the D above that, and it goes like this. Okay, take a second to figure that out if you need to. Give you a second there while I get my... Okay. So then we're going to do that down to 5th position. Okay, I'll play it one more time if you need to hear it. Okay, so we're going to do that down to 5th. Here we go. 1, 2, ready? Okay, so then when we get down to 5th position, it changes up. Now we just go up. Okay, you got that? Take a second and figure that one out. So you're just doing like 2 times on each position. Okay, give that a try. Giving you a second here. Do you want to figure it out? Okay, so then when you put those 2 parts of the exercise together, we go down to 5th on the first sequence, then we go up and then back down. And then the last part is really fast. We just do 1 time on each position. Okay, so figure that out. All right, now let's try to put the whole thing together. I'll try to cue you each time we go into the different sequences. So first we have the da 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 ba ba da 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 all the way down to 5th, and then we go up and down doing 2 times on each note, and then we go up and down doing 1 time on each note. I know it's a little complicated to learn for the first time, but let's give it a try. All right, so let's try the whole exercise again on the B flat to D. Okay, how'd you do? I know that one's a little complicated to follow along with, but you get the idea. I love that exercise. I think it's super fun, and it also really makes my lips feel good and helps me a lot with my flexibility. Because those fast lip flips is essentially setting up the technique to start to do lip trills. And the cool thing about the lip flips exercise is you can do them like any interval. So we did B flat to D. You know, you can also do D to F, right? Right? Or you could skip notes. You can skip that D and just go B flat up to F. Right? You can do that. You can do the lower notes. You can go down instead of up. Remember, you can do octaves, you know, you can do all sorts of intervals there. I tend to just do the closer together intervals because, like I said, for me, this helps me like set up a lip trill. So I haven't really gotten into doing the big leaps, but I'm sure there are some of you out there who are up for that challenge. Okay, so that's kind of my flexibility stuff. Actually, let's do one more because I realized we haven't really gotten into the high register yet. So let's see. So let's just do this one. So B flat, D, F, up to high B flat, and then tongue that high B flat, and then come back down. Okay, you got that one? Let's see how fast. Let's try to keep it at the same tempo. If it's too fast, we'll slow it down. But the idea is we're going to do this all the way down to 7th position with the slur, tonguing at the top. And then when we come back up, we're going to tongue every note. Okay? And I like to do this exercise just kind of like get some connection into the higher register before we start working in the higher register. Okay, so let's give it a try. Okay, now going back up, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to tongue each note. Alright, so this has kind of gotten us into the high register a little bit. So far we've done our long tones, we have done low register, we have done tonguing and articulation, we have done flexibility, and then the last thing I like to work on in my daily routine is range extension, you know, going higher. So there are, again, many different ways that I work on this, and I try to change it up every day so I don't get bored. But my absolute favorite exercise for playing in the high register is actually from the Arban's book. Don't ask me where it is. I can't tell you. I don't have my Arban's book with me, but it's in there in the beginning. So the pattern is, and I will preface this before we start, it can take you a while to get through the exercise. It is kind of tedious, but it really, really helps. It's helped me strengthen my playing a lot, getting into the higher register. So the exercise is, it's in half notes. So just take a listen. This is, we're going to start on low B flat. Okay, so you might have recognized the exercise or been able to pick out what it was. Essentially, we are going up the B flat scale in half notes. So we go 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 5, 1, 4. And we're going to end on the 4th. And that pattern will repeat. We'll just go up by half step, up by half step, up by half step. So let's give it a try. So we're going to start on that low B flat again. Oh, before we start, I should tell you, the idea is to really tongue the bottom note. So that first note, that B flat, make sure you're articulating that clearly every time. And then we are using a slur as we go up to those other notes, right? Right, so it's tongue, slur, tongue, slur. Okay, so that's the articulation we're going to use for this exercise. All right, here we go. Low B flat. exercise is actually good for tuning too, with your alternate positions. Make sure you're kind of honing into all your, your tuning there. Oh, here we go, D. E flat. Sorry for the noise outside. There's somebody doing yard work. I guess that's just the part of doing live streams from home. But let's start on G major again. It's an important thing to note too with this exercise, since it does take a long time. Like, you can take breaks when you need to. I find this exercise is also has something to do with concentration, because it does take such a long time that you really got to concentrate on all the notes you're playing. All right, so let's start on G, where we left off. Here we go. A flat. So you get the idea. This can go on and on forever, up until your highest note. So we won't go through the whole thing. It's going to take forever. But yeah, that is definitely my favorite exercise for range building. Another one that I really love, that sometimes I do when I have a little less time, because that other one from the Arban's book takes a really long time, is this one here. So you're just doing a major arpeggio up. Okay, so that's another example. So let's do that one, and let's start higher this time. Let's start on an F. Start on that F there. And we'll go up from there. So let's start there on that middle F. Here we go. and so forth. Up and up and up until the highest note that you can play. So there you have it. Those are really the main things that I like to work on in my warm-up every day. You know, making sure you're doing long tones, making sure you're doing low register playing, making sure you're doing tonguing, making sure you're doing flexibility, and then making sure you are doing your high register playing. Up all the way high as you can go, same with the low register, all the way down to as low as you can go. And your goal should be to always like extend your playable range of the trombone. So I'm gonna end this live stream today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I just wanted to let you know again, if you sent me a Facebook request, sorry, I can't accept it right now because of the Facebook limit, but if you go to my page, Lisa Liz Trombone, and like that page, then you can send me a DM there. If you have questions about anything I went over today, if you have questions about any of the exercises, or maybe where you can get the books, I also offer online lessons, all that stuff. So please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm at Lisa Liz Trombone on every single platform, so I should be easy to find. So thank you so much for having me. It was super fun, and I will see you all later. Thanks. Bye.